Alright people, welcome back to another series of the Mitre attack walkthroughs here, and in this episode we are going to take a look at Spearphishing link. This is the second sub-techniques of the phishing technique on Mitre attack. And yeah, so as usual, let's copy this page from last time like this. It is still the 1st December. It is 3:30 a.m. right now, and yeah, so I think this is for me the last video for today, but let's take a look at this Spearphishing link. So while I build this page, this time we have a little bit more text to go through, so I'm going to, let's do it like this. And then we need to make it a little bit smaller to fit in the rest as well. This is the rest here. On the other side, like this. This we put on the right side now. So like this, like this. Okay, so I think this should be good enough, maybe. One moment. Yeah, I think this is good enough. And then we put at the bottom also, let's switch into reading mode here to make it a little bit easier on your eyes and also on my eyes. And put it down like this. We have a technique here. And the last bit of information I would like to add here is other sub-techniques. Also, my voice today is a little bit more raspy than usual. I catch the cold, unfortunately. Yeah, it's winter time. It's that season, so I really hope that, the job starts in roughly 5 hours, so I really hope that I will be able to go to work today. It's home office, but nevertheless, so it's sometimes, in our job in the cybersecurity, if you don't feel well and you are not really at 100% of your game, better don't even attempt concluding things. So sometimes it's better not to go in a meeting, because especially if they are contested a little bit. So yeah, but one indicator for me, if I'm able to record a video like this, it usually means that I'm able to work as well. Let's see, but that's a little bit for background. Let's get started in the reading. So the first point that we want to take a look at is this box here. So again, we have identity providers as platforms: Office Suite, SaaS, Windows, macOS. And this is still initial access, so all of the phishing techniques belong to the initial access kill chain step. Mitre calls it tactic, but you can very well compare it to the kill chain that we have seen in the kill chain series here on this channel. And also the contributors are interesting. So you have Microsoft participating. Who else do you have? Cardinal Ops, we have seen them already. Then you have, of course, a few people who worked on them, but I don't recognize any of the names. You have the Microsoft Threat Intelligence Center, interesting. And somebody from the Indian Army. Okay. That's interesting. And also, just keep in mind that it might be a goal, and it is my goal as well, to at some point create content good enough so that my name will be listed on the contributors as well. I think this is a great achievement if you can manage to put your name there by contributing a lot. So this might be one goal for cybersecurity professionals. But the first step to that is reading what is already there and understanding what it is all about. And let's do that now. So, adversaries may send spearphishing emails with malicious link in an attempt to gain access to victim systems. Spearphishing with a link is a specific variant of spearphishing. It is different from other forms of spearphishing in that it employs the use of links to download malware. So it employs use of links to download malware. Okay, that's the difference. Good. Contained in an email instead of attaching malicious files to the email itself to avoid defenses. That means inspect email attachments. Yeah, so that's a good thing. A good idea. So since attachments are indeed oftentimes blocked, this is one way to get into the system. Spearphishing may also involve social engineering techniques such as posing as a trusted source. Then all forms of spearphishing are electronically delivered. So that text that we have here, we have seen this entire text is a copy paste from the other phishing things, but let's read it still. It's not wrong to paste valuable information. But they say it's a social engineering targeted specific at individuals, companies or industries. In this case, malicious email contains links. Generally the links will be, oh, it's not a copy paste. Oh, they talk about links, so okay. But the links will be accompanied by social engineering text and require the user to actively click or copy paste an URL into the browser, leveraging user execution. And again, it requires the user to do something. Require the user to actively click or paste URL. And that is an indication here that, again, we will see user training. We will see it in the countermeasures. The visited website may compromise the web browser using an exploit, or the user will be prompted to download applications, documents, zip files, or even executables depending on the pretext for the email in the first place. Okay, then adversaries may also include links that are intended to interact directly with an email reader, including embedded images intended to exploit the end system directly. This embedded images, that's interesting. So that's not about embedded image, that's not about a picture. So that's unfortunate here. So with images they mean also some sort of executable files. So it's not about a picture here. Even though pictures can be used, the German word is Steganography. So that's like hiding a secret message in a picture, in an audio stream. That's also part of hacking, but in this case they are talking about executable images that can be mounted somewhere. Okay, then additionally, adversaries may use seemingly banning links that abuse special characters to mimic legitimate websites, known as an IDN homograph attack. Okay, IDN homograph attack. I never heard of that, and it's in the sources at the first position, so we will see it a little bit at least. Then URLs may also be obfuscated by taking advantage of quirks in the URL schema, such as the acceptance of integer or hexadecimal based hostname formats and the automatic discarding of text before an @ symbol. For example, hxxp google.com @ yeah, interesting. Really interesting. Okay, what else do we have? Adversaries may also utilize links to perform consent phishing, spearphishing campaigns to steal application access tokens that grant immediate access to the victim's environment. Steal application access tokens. Yes, so this might be something like a Confluence token or so, and then you have access to editing the pages. For example, a user may be lured into granting adversaries permissions access via a malicious OAuth 2.0 request. Yes, this authentication request, when accepted by the user to provide permissions for malicious applications. These stolen access tokens allow the adversary to perform various actions on behalf of the user via API calls. Yes, that's a good point. API calls. That's a really good point because API, that's something that is not in the end user area. That's more like software engineering right there. Then similarly, malicious links may also target device-based authorization such as OAuth 2.0 device authorization, grant flow, which is typically used to authenticate devices without UIs browsers. I'm not familiar with that sentence at all, so I have not even one story to that, because I'm not too much into software engineering. But yeah, it's something about an automatic authentication that is used in a software code somewhere, um, known as device code phishing. An adversary may send a link that directs the victim to a malicious authorization page where the user is tricked into entering a code credentials that produce a device token. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Alright, so now we have seen what it is all about with the links. Now, as usual, let's take a quick look at the procedures that we have there. So for that, I really quickly remove all of that, and we take a look now at least at the first examples of this. Let's do it like that. Yeah, this looks alright. We put it on the left side. So here we have some procedure examples again. The APT1 is doing here the job again. Bumblebee I recognize, and again the apple juice. So they do spearphishing attacks not just via attachments but also via links. AAD internals. That's an interesting name for a hacker group because it sounds like a normal file on your Windows system or so, or a process. So AAD internals can send consent phishing emails containing malicious links designed to steal user access tokens. Okay. And Apple Juice has been distributing the spearphishing links. Okay. Then we have the Bumblebee has been spread through email campaigns with malicious links. Yeah, interesting. So we're not going through all of them, but the point is just to, there are a lot of them. We see the sandworm again. Yeah, so we see trick bots, so there are a lot of them. And now let's take a look at mitigation. And mitigation, that's, I think, the stuff that we should pay the most attention to. There we go. And so again we have the audit. You can audit applications and their permissions to ensure access to data and resources are limited based upon necessity and principles of least privilege. Yes, based upon necessity. You will see in the job that this is never used. Why not? Because it's a lot of effort that you need to do. If you work based on necessity, it's much easier to grant access to everybody and job done. That's your lazy administrators usually. They're not all lazy, but this is one way to do your job quickly. Then restrict web-based content. Yes, so since they're working with links here, malicious links, you can block these links. Software configurations, we have that again with the DMARC, SPF, DKIM that I'm not familiar with, but those are administrative terms. So if you tell those to your administrator and ask them, is that stuff activated and can he explain how it works, the admin should be able to do that. And then we have user account management. Yeah, sure, only allow the clicking on links for a very small amount of users, but not for everybody. And then it says grant consent to unfamiliar or unverified third-party applications. This should be very limited. And then again, this is not to be surprising. User training can help a lot. Yes, so this is the mitigation. Then on the next page we have a little bit of a detection strategy. That's for your SOC engineers. And I find that very revealing sometimes to look at these detection strategies here, because usually back in the day, if you don't have Mitre Tech, you have to brainstorm that stuff up yourself. But they provide you this, so it makes the job so much easier. Let's see what they're writing here. So, correlation of inbound emails with embedded links, followed by user-driven browse navigation to suspicious or obfuscated domains. And in the end of that is a download activity. So this is your typical flow as it looks like. Inbound email is the start with embedded links, okay, because we are here in the link section. Then user-driven browser navigation is the next step. And then you have some of that stuff, but in the end you have some sort of a download activity. So this is the chain of events that you would like to see as it looks like. And by using a SIM solution like Splunk or Microsoft Sentinel, you can obviously build rules. You can onboard the data sources that you need, and then you can build detection rules to do SOC alerting. This is what this detection strategy is there for. And then you have here detection of spearphishing links through mails, logs, and browser activity. Yeah, mail logs, browser activity, behavior also. User clicks on something, shell launch from browser process. Yeah, that's a classic. So if there's a shell interpreter launched from the browser, well, that's a very good indicator that something is going wrong there. First of all, you should do system hardening to avoid these things. And if it happens, then you can log and detect that. This is one way to do a good job, because then you can catch the criminal right at the launch. The very next step need to be an isolation of the system though, because that stuff is launched the moment you see it. It's doing malicious activities, it's compromising the system within seconds, and the SOC response is usually a thing of 30 minutes or so, so that's a long time, 30 minutes. And for that reason, when you catch that, isolate the system after that. And then we have correlation of mail app logs with Safari Chrome activity. Yeah, so this is like two specific browsers, okay. What if you don't use Safari Chrome? But that's still good that they point that out. And then you have this OAuth consent phishing. So it goes like that: OAuth URL, consent page visited, unusual token grants. Yes, so this is something that, again, what is an unusual token grant? That needs to be figured out, but it is still a pretty good start, I would say. So here we have 200, let me see, 140 sources. So let's take a look at the sources now as well. And then we can say we are through with that topic for the moment. We should aim for shorter videos, I think, so well over 30 minutes is too much. So we gotta respect the attention span of the people here, and of my attention span obviously as well. So I'm mentioning that attention span topic every now and then. So as far as I know, I'm not affected by this ADHS illness, where the attention is severely reduced and people need to take medicine to counteract that. So I think from that perspective, as far as I know, I have a healthy attention span. But even from that perspective, I sometimes notice that my attention struggles, and whenever that happens, it's a good time to take a break. Don't force yourself to sit here, because whenever you don't enjoy, like reading a book, you will put that book down for an unnecessarily long time. That's what I noticed whenever I read a book and I didn't enjoy certain chapters, and I forced myself to read it for like 20 minutes longer than I intended to do, let's say. Well, the effect is I didn't pick up that book for another week or so. And sometimes I didn't pick up these books ever. And it's the same thing with this Mitre attack. So if you're watching one of these videos and they go on for 2 hours and you're like, man, I don't have that much time to spend, chances are high that you will not return to this series ever again. And so we are doing here. We have 20 minutes in now, and I think that's a good pace to get a first look into something. Yeah, but as you can see, the references here is again Scissor on place 1. This was the one source that we marked down for IDN homograph attacks. So this is covered by Caesar, and they say understanding internationalized domain names. Yeah. What else do we have here? Microsoft as a source. SecureWorks, yes. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency. That is Caesar, by the way. So this is just written out, but this is again Caesar. It's an agency. Here's again Caesar, so yes. So I used sources from Caesar in the last years very often. And I mean, it's honorable from the US agencies to publicly make this information available. The unfortunate thing though is cyber criminals are reading that stuff too. But yeah, so we are through then with this spearphishing link video. So we covered the basic idea behind it. We know a little bit now about the procedures, so which hacker groups use that. Keep in mind that this is not a full list, there are more of them. We took a look at the mitigations, so auditing is user training is a good idea. And we also looked at how to detect it if you want to use a SIM solution like Splunk or like IBM Curator, Securonix, Google Chronicles. So you can use these instructions here to catch them automatically and to report to your SOC. And these references, I think this is a well read. And at some point we will sit down and read some of those sources. As you can see, this is an endless rabbit hole that we are going through here. Yeah, but that's what it is. I hope you enjoyed that video. I certainly did. And thanks for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.